Abimelech came to Isaac from Gerar with Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you? But they said, We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you. So we said, Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you. And since we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace, you are now the blessed of the Lord. So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early in the morning, and swore an oath with one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug, and said to them, We have found water. And so he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is called Beersheba to this day. My name's Arthur. Thank you for joining me as we continue to meditate in the life of Isaac from Genesis chapter 26. As he struggles to find a place in the land, as his possessions increase, and as the Philistines who dwell in that land have asked him to leave, envious of his success and prosperity. But the Lord has told him not to leave, and so there is tension. He has moved away from their agricultural land into the wilderness area, where there is no water, and so they have been busy digging wells to provide water. Isaac had reopened the wells that his father Abraham had built 100 years earlier, which the Philistines had stopped up. And then there were 4 new wells. The wells are critical in the wilderness. There's a lot of food out there, but if there's no well nearby, the livestock can't access the grazing because they also need the water. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarrelled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, The water is ours. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarrelled with him. The name Esek means quarrel. And Isaac left the well to them, for we read, Then they dug another well, and they quarrelled over that one also. So he called its name Sitmah. That means enmity. There is opposition, there is difficulty. Everything that Isaac seems to do, the Philistines find fault with it, and they take that well as well. And so he moved on from there and dug a third well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. His persistence paid off. Rehoboth means spaciousness. There's room for us in the land. And the Lord appears to Isaac a second time, saying, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants dug a well. Well, we find that Abimelech has watched what Isaac has done. We are always watched by other people. They see the Lord's blessing on us. They try to oppress us, but the Lord blesses us. For Isaac was driven out into the wilderness, no doubt in the hope that he would be weakened, but the Lord has blessed him, and he has been strengthened. The difficulties that we face in life are not to weaken us and to destroy us. They are to strengthen us. So by faith we dwell in the place where we live. And so now we come to Abimelech saying, these people have become more powerful. We will change from enmity to peace. When the Christian church was first established, for the first 250 years, there was great opposition from the Roman Empire, but the church flourished despite that. And so Emperor Constantine made peace with the church. It changed the relationship, and the Christian church rather than being oppressed, was approved. Well, that has its own dangers, of course. So Abimelech's people had been driving Isaac away, and Isaac says, "Well, why have you come, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" Abimelech says, "Let's make a peace treaty, because we have seen that God blesses you." So the people of the world are happy to make peace with believers when it seems to be to their advantage. But there's always another generation that wants to raise up the fight. Now, Abimelech, of course, is a politician. "We have done you no harm. We have not touched you. We have done you nothing but good. We've sent you away in peace." Well, that's definitely putting a good complexion on something that was very bitter and hard for Isaac. But Isaac does not bear resentment. He welcomes them, he makes a feast for them, they eat and drink, and they swear an oath of peace together. Because it was never Isaac's intention to attack the Philistines, just as later the Israelites never had the intention of fighting Egypt and some of the other tribes who opposed them. God's people are for peace. Jesus came for peace. It is those who do not have God in their heart who are for strife. Well, Isaac feasted with them, swore an oath with them, and they departed in peace. God is reaching out to people in peace. Though there are those who would oppose us, we respond in peace to them. Isaac was able to celebrate the peace that eventually came with the naming of a well, Sheba. This well means an oath. Looking down through the centuries, we find that the Philistines didn't keep this promise. But Isaac was more than willing to enter into a promise with them. We need to, by all means, live at peace with those around us. But we need not be surprised if those around us don't keep their side of the bargain. So this well was called the Well of Seven. It's also called the Well of the Oath. In fact, the covenant that Isaac made was a renewal of the covenant that Abraham had made 100 years earlier. For at that time, Abimelech, obviously not the same Abimelech, had made a covenant with Abraham, having noted that the Lord had blessed Abraham and had permitted Abraham to live in the land. So Isaac had a right also to live in the Philistine territory. And Abraham had given to Abimelech 7 ewe lambs as a sign of the covenant. And it was at the same place, Beersheba. That's why it was called Beersheba, the Well of the Oath, and the Well of the Seven. Beersheba continues today, and Australia fought a mighty battle which was instrumental in freeing Jerusalem from the Turks in the First World War, the Battle of Beersheba. For the strife continues over the land. The territory of the Philistines is essentially the territory of Gaza. At the present time, the people of Gaza would want to drive Israel out into the wilderness, away from the land. But God has given them this land, and they need to respond in peace and in patience, digging wells. For what has happened in Israel in the last 50 years is land that was unusable is now blossoming because of the water that God has provided under the land. Water has still been a big issue for the land of Israel, but God provides water for people. He sends the water on the just and on the unjust, and he will make room for his people in the land of Israel. As we read through the scriptures, we find God has not taken away the promises that he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even though they have turned against him in rejecting Jesus as Messiah. Nevertheless, God is blessing and providing them, and they will acknowledge in the not too distant future that Jesus is the Son of God. The very presence of Beersheba today is a sign that God keeps his promises for his people. Isaac And Abimelech swore an oath with one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace.